Volunteers are the ultimate renewable resource, receiving energy from the effort they exert. Like a plant returning the gifts of beauty, shelter, or food, volunteers nourish themselves as they help others, even if they don't hear a thank you in return. There are many tasks to perform at the Naples Botanical Garden, but even in the middle of a hot, humid Florida summer, the most popular involve the plants.
I got to be outdoors or I'd be like a caged up lion. I got to be out in a good breeze and sunshine. I turned 80 March the 30th. How many men out there doing? Most of them are dead. I'm just getting started.
What began as a strip mall on the outskirts of Naples is being transformed into world-class botanical gardens with educational, research, and conservation programs. The nonprofit Naples Botanical Garden is a 160-acre oasis adjacent to Naples Bay, where a dream team of landscape architects are designing magnificent gardens that will attract scientists and plant enthusiasts from around the world. The gardens also attract quite a few volunteers, many of whom don't mind digging right in.
Most of the area that we're clearing for the garden is covered in invasive species, but there are a few native species out here, and we're coming out, we're collecting those, we'll grow them in our nursery, and then we'll use those in the future gardens.
Phase 1 of the master plan calls for 5 distinct gardens: Brazilian, Asian, Florida, Caribbean, and children's gardens. They represent a $55 million investment in exotic landscapes and sustainable architecture. 2/3 of the property will be restored to native habitat with interactive features that blend into lush foliage. Under the supervision of Chad Washburn, the natural areas manager, volunteers are rescuing native plants before the exotic species are extracted and mulched on site.
Sustainability is our mantra. We really want to use what we have before we go out and buy new plants. All of these plants that we're rescuing will be used in future areas of the garden. And these plants are native to this area. They're native to Naples, native to this site.
Ah, look at that. What a beauty.
To recover as many plants as possible, the Naples Botanical Garden organized several plant rescues where people gladly give up their time to embrace the Florida outdoors, with the only payment being a straw hat and admission to the garden. Some volunteers are fulfilling lifelong ambitions in a tropical setting where anything grows.
We have volunteers who have never done any gardening before. We have a lot of people who are retirees. They come out, they've decided, they've wanted to garden for their entire life, and they come out and start playing in the dirt, and we always learn a lot of things from them, and they learn a lot from us.
Wynn Turner knows well the gift of gardening in the tropics. He has been a whirlwind of activity since his family moved to Naples when he was 12. After starting, then selling numerous businesses and being a community leader, Turner says the secret to his longevity is staying busy. In fact, he comes to the Naples Botanical Garden because his own 2.5 acres is a verdant paradise that can't accommodate anything else.
Got a 184 square foot octagon-shaped tree house up in Big Tree. I have 6 waterfalls, a boardwalk through a natural cypress swamp, 7 patios, got a 4-level house with a basement in it. So, you see where I go? Oh, I gotta stay busy. That's what keeps us living, staying busy. You don't sit down. When you sit down, you're through. If you don't learn something every day, you're not working. It's just that simple. Every day you learn something. You meet somebody new every day. In fact, I've had people for the last 3 years that's come all the way back from New Zealand, Norway, and Sweden.
Turner is one of many regulars at the gardens, spending weeks in the Florida grub saving plants that are usually cut or killed. Once removed, the native plants are taken to a staging area where they are potted, watered, and stored for a few months. The idea of preserving materials on site using volunteer labor is deeply seated into the doctrine of the gardens.
I exercise both my mind and my body. It's really fun to be outside in the sunshine and the fresh air and working with all the other volunteers who are really interesting people. And many of them have been here in Florida for a long time, so they can give me lots of information about what I should do in my own garden as well.
Liz Shahale was a master gardener in St. Louis. It wasn't until she started volunteering at the Naples Botanical Garden in 2002 that she began to learn about the many plants that thrive in her adopted home. Now she has 500 species in her yard and is a certified horticultural professional in Florida, making her a master of 2 distinct realms in the gardening world.
You can put a seed in the ground here and it just automatically grows, and you can actually plant plants right on top of the ground. You don't even have to put them into the ground. You can tie orchids to trees. It's just wonderful.
I would say maybe half the people come are great gardeners from up north from a different planting zone. So they come down here, and while they get to do what they love, they are like sponges. They like to absorb all the new stuff, and it helps them with their own homes and their own neighborhoods as far as landscaping. So they're eager to learn from us too.
The gardens are an inspiration for any budding gardener in the Sunshine State. Recent transplants, the people that is, get rare access to the grounds and glean knowledge directly from the staff and fellow volunteers. Around 400 volunteers keep the gardens green, and Sally Richardson, volunteer manager, says not all will find themselves in the field.
No, they're not all plant people, and they're not all outdoors people. So we find shade things for them or indoor activities. We've had summer camp and children's programs. I have a wonderful after-school program at Avalon where we have mentors that come and work with the kids. So there's just a different variety of things.
Welcome to the Butterfly Garden.
An organization this size needs more than gardeners. There are many indoor duties, from filing to fundraising. Even though she might be recruiting more of a green shade than a green thumb, her tour usually winds up in the Butterfly House.
Just being here in the Butterfly House, it's a very easy place to recruit. I have volunteers from Florida Gulf Coast University. All those students take a colloquium class, and they have to have 10 hours. So we easily can place them, and they get their 10 hours. They're happy, we're happy.
Well, I put it this way, it kind of saved my life. At the time when it opened, it was kind of a rough time. So I came here, it was 3 years ago, and it's been the most magical because it's a very special butterfly house.
Like bees to a flower, people are attracted by the quiet elegance of these flying paintings. Minta Quinn considers it a refuge, spending most weekdays communing with butterflies and people.
People, they start to come in the gate, and when they go around, they go through, and I can see the difference in them, and they'll just how they love it. And what I like the best is when I'm telling them about them, they'll say, "Oh, I didn't know that." I love that. So that's what I get out of it.
Ultimately, it's the symbiotic relationship between plants and people that attract the volunteers, providing everyone and everything opportunities to grow.